Yeah, I mean, I think the goal is just to not look like you in the Houston Rockets uniform.
Yeah.
Is ultimately the goal for us. Like, we don't want to.
It ended for Larry Bird Celtics. It ended for Isaiah Thomas Pistons. It ended for Michael Jordan Bulls, The Last Dance.
Absolutely.
It ended for Tim Duncan and Parker and Ginobili. It always ends.
Hey, man, I never punched down. Draymond's a good player. We're not on the same level.
Charles Barkley doesn't lose arguments, but more than that, he doesn't even enter them. When he decides someone isn't worth his time, there's no shouting, no red face, no clenched jaw, just a single sentence lowered like a final nail into the coffin of a career. Then he walks away. Last week, a four-time champion learned exactly what that feels like while sitting on live television. The man who learned, Draymond Green, the crime. Doing something almost no TV analyst dares to do, taking a swing at Charles Barkley on Inside the NBA asterisk. In Barkley's chair, on Barkley's network, what followed wasn't a feud, it wasn't a debate. Over 72 hours it became a public dismantling, a quiet surgical takedown of a resume delivered by a man who waited, looked Green in the eye, and spoke one sentence that ended the whole conversation before it could even begin. "Hey man, I never punched down. Draymond's a good player. We're not on the same level." This is the story of how that happened, and why when Charles Barkley finally answered, the entire basketball world nodded in agreement. He was right. To understand the kill shot, you have to understand the room. The Room is asterisk Inside the NBA asterisk, the most watched studio show in basketball history. Not a cheap set, a Hall of Fame living room. And on this night, Draymond Green isn't a guest dropping by for a hit-and-run segment. He's sitting at the desk, among legends, among Hall of Famers, as a peer. He's filling in for Shaquille O'Neal. The Warriors have just been eliminated and their dynasty is cracking in real time, live on air. Before the break, Draymond opens up about a private moment with his head coach.
Moment. Like, and he didn't miss that moment. But like, going down the stretch, you can't help but think, like, is this it? Is this the...
Draymond speaks here, vulnerable, raw, describing a conversation with Steve Kerr about the end of an era.
I have an option, as you see. If they don't want me back, I'm not just gonna take the option. Like, this has always been a partnership, right? You want me, I want you, it works out. And so...
That's the tone of the room, vulnerable, reflective. A four-time champion staring down the back end of a dynasty. He keeps going, he talks about his future, his contract, the mutual decision that hasn't been made yet. He's being treated like a partner, not a player. Then he explains why the season collapsed.
Yeah, you got Jimmy Butler out with a knee injury. You got Moses Moody out with a knee injury. You got Steph Curry out with a knee injury. And we're just free-falling pretty much from All-Star break.
Draymond continues, 3 bad knees, a dynasty in free fall, one player still believing he belongs in Golden State for the rest of his career.
I don't see myself in another uniform, but I am also understanding of this business and know that it takes them to want me as much as I want them in order for it to continue on.
This is a man at his most human, his most exposed, sitting next to a Hall of Famer who's been doing this for 26 years. That's the setup. That's the room Draymond Green chose to throw a punch in. Charles Barkley doesn't blink. He looks at Draymond on live television and tells the truth nobody else in basketball will say out loud.
Well, it's over for the Warriors.
There you go.
I mean, no disrespect. But disrespect is...
No disrespect.
It ends for every old team. You have your run, you get old, y'all let Clay go. You and Steph on the backside of y'all careers, it just passed you by. Y'all had one of the greatest runs ever. If you think you're not in the playoffs, you're not gonna make. You think you're gonna get healthier for next year? You're just gonna get older. That's no disrespect. You guys had one of the greatest runs of all time. If you want to compete, you're gonna have to leave there. If Steph wants to compete, he's gonna have to leave there.
It's over. Not later. Not next season. Now. Then he hands them the math.
This is a man at his most human, his most exposed, sitting next to a Hall of Famer who's been behind that desk for 26 years. That's the setup. That's the room Draymond Green chose to throw a punch in. And Charles Barkley doesn't blink. He looks at Draymond on live television and tells the truth nobody else in basketball will say out loud.
It ended for Larry Bird Celtics. It ended for Isaiah Thomas Pistons. It ended for Michael Jordan Bulls, The Last Dance.
Absolutely.
It ended for Tim Duncan and Parker and Ginobili. It always ends. Listen, sports are for young people. You hope to have a great long career, but sports, no.
It's over, not later, not next season, now. Then he hands them the math. What if they bring the right pieces in? But the math doesn't matter anymore because the sentence has already landed, and Charles Barkley is already walking away.